How we going, Jazz Squad?
Hey!
We're back.
We're moving on to our second dot point from the syllabus. The first dot point was all about extent, location, introducing the reef basically. The second one is our biophysical interactions. Year 11, you would have done biophysical interactions.
In Year 12, you would have also done biophysical interactions when you were in Year 11.
That's what I meant, like so when they were in Year 11.
Oh, I thought you were talking Year 11 specifically.
No.
It's like, hey, Year 11. Shout out to Year 11.
So you should know about the atmosphere, the lithosphere, the biosphere, and the hydrosphere.
Which is your favourite sphere?
The atmosphere.
You know what mine is? Guess.
Atmosphere.
No.
It's the best one.
Well, I don't dislike atmosphere, but...
Biosphere. Which one?
Lithosphere. Ugh. Lithosphere! Yeah, earthquakes and volcanoes and continents ripping apart and lava.
Yeah, but that's all like naturally occurring stuff. I like looking at how humans are messing stuff up.
Salinity?
Yeah, that's boring. I have a geology degree, but I'm still atmosphere better.
Yeah, I have a geology degree, but lithosphere sucks.
It does. It's pretty boring.
She doesn't sound like
No, I actually don't. I like lithosphere. It's just atmosphere with climate change. It's so much better. Okay, anyway. So we do these four, but what you'll notice in the syllabus is that they're worded, I don't know why I'm doing this, they're worded a little bit differently. So the first one is the dynamics of weather and climate, which is what this video is about. And it says dynamics of weather and climate, and that's how to be asked in HSC. It doesn't say atmosphere. Tell us about the atmosphere.
Yeah. Also, this dot,
but it is the atmosphere dot point.
Yeah, exactly. Just to preview what we're doing here too, there's these four sub-dot points under biophysical interactions. So the biophysical dot point is actually huge. It's got these big four in it. So we're actually going to do a couple of videos and break it up otherwise we'd end up with a 30-minute video just on this dot point. So
today's one, weather and climate, which is our atmosphere dot point. There are four things you need to remember. I like personally when I'm studying having these are my four things, real easy dot points to remember, and then if you can just remember those four things, the rest of it you'll remember along with that. So the first one is temperature.
Temperature.
So just remember about one, temperature. First thing you need to remember is temperature. Why, Cizzio, do they need to know about the temperature?
So I explained, if you've just watched our Great Barrier Reef intro video, I kind of touched on this already, but temperature impacts the reef in two ways, but air temperature and therefore sea temperature. Essentially, coral, because of the way they grow, the symbiotic relationship between zooxanthellae and coral polyps, need a specific range of temperature. And as I said before, below 18 is coral just cannot grow, and above 29, that's the red zone. A coral will basically bleach very, very quickly above 29. They have an optimal temperature range of between 21 and 27 degrees. As long as the sea temperature is in that zone, it's going to be prime coral growing, healthy reef kind of temperature. So global temperature increases, the air increases because of human interaction, fossil fuels, all that sort of stuff. That will increase the sea temperature. The sea temperature will have a very dramatic and can be very quickly catastrophic impact on the health of the reef.
Yeah, the coral will expel the zooxanthellae, which will take away its main source of energy and also its colour, and it will become bleached.
90% of its energy, remember, try to use a stat wherever you can use a stat. If you say much of its energy comes from photosynthesis, good. How much? 10%, 90%, 50%? What is it? Say a number.
Okay, number two.
90, by the way.
Number two is precipitation. Okay, corals need salt water. Okay, they don't like fresh water, and when we have high amounts of precipitation, whether that's from a cyclone or just the tropical summer, in Australia, in the north, in summer we get a lot of low pressure systems. Associated with low pressure systems is rainfall. When there's a high amount of rainfall, there's a density difference between fresh water and salt water. Okay, salt water is more dense, it's heavier, so the fresh water is just going to sit on top of the salt water.
Have you ever been to the beach and realised, or swimming in the ocean bars, and you find it's easier to swim in salt water? You just feel you can glide across the top of the water better than in a swimming pool because of the salt?
Yeah. So the problem is, however, because it's called freshwater ponding, because all that water ponds on top.
She loves that term. She loves freshwater ponding.
It's just a really good one to throw in there to show the marker that you know what you're talking about. You're not just talking about fresh water, you're talking about freshwater ponding.
I'm really excited about freshwater ponding.
If the coral comes in contact with that fresh water, it's going to die. Okay, coral cannot survive in fresh water. Okay, you can't chuck a tropical fish in fresh water.
Just imagine you with a fish chucking it in a pool.
I actually, when I was YouTubing stuff, because I'm like always looking for videos to show you, and there was something, I can't remember what I searched, but the first thing that came up was, what happens when I put my tropical fish in fresh water? I was like, how is that allowed on YouTube?
What is wrong with people?
Also, you don't need to test that. I can tell you what's going to happen.
You can Google it. Will my fish die if I do this? Yeah.
Okay, we said we're going to keep these quick. We said 5 minutes. We're over 5 minutes already. Number 3 is wind.
Sorry. Yes, wind.
Wind. What is wind?
Wind.
What does it do?
Wind is where air moves fast.
If there's high amounts of wind, we're going to have higher wave energy. That wave is going to lead to mechanical weathering. We'll look at that more when we get to our lithosphere, our geomorphic processes, where bits of coral break off and smash into other bits of coral, then it breaks off. And
what is that called when bits of coral break off?
Erosion, weathering.
Yeah, oh no, but the bits of coral that
Oh, bommies.
Bommies. She loves that
Pommies. Does it sound like, it sounds like pommies.
I guess it does. So just with the wave, the wind action, just to be a little bit technical with it, there are 3 ways in which wind affects swell of the ocean in how big the waves are going to be. It's the fetch, which
That's
is
my favourite one, because it reminds me of Mean Girls. Stop trying to make fetch happen. This isn't going to happen.
I haven't seen Mean Girls.
Comment down below if you think that Mrs. Cizzio should watch Mean Girls during the rest of isolation.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that.
Sorry, continue with your.
So fetch is just what size or how much of the ocean is being affected by wind activity. So if you have a very large fetch, you might have a giant cyclone that's affecting millions of square kilometres of ocean. So that's a big fetch, be the wave action. How fast that wind is blowing across that section of open ocean, and for how long, the duration that the wind is blowing across it. So if you have a very large fetch, very strong winds blowing for a long time, you're going to have very, very, very big swell, big waves. That's going to mechanically snap off a lot of coral.
Yeah, and then smash it into other coral, and then it's just a big mess. Chaos.
Chaos.
The Great Barrier Reef.
Chaos on the Reef. Sounds like a Netflix movie.
Mean Girls is on Netflix. All right, number 4 is tropical cyclones. We could talk about this for hours, but we're not going to because we're at 7 minutes.
Okay, so the quick version. Cyclones bad.
Cyclones are really intense low pressure systems. We get a lot of them at the Great Barrier Reef because it's in a tropical area, and there are a lot of impacts from those tropical cyclones. One being, as we just mentioned, a lot of mechanical weathering, a lot of wave action, high winds leads to lots of coral breaking off and then weathering other bits of coral.
The other, of course, thing that happens when there's a cyclone is usually you have a lot of rainfall. And rainfall will be a bunch of fresh water. It doesn't rain salt water. So because of all of that rain, you can have
freshwater ponding. I actually really like, so there's a past HSC question about the impact of weather and climate on an ecosystem. I really like using tropical cyclones because you can talk about tropical cyclones, but then you can talk about mechanical weathering as part of that, and then you can talk about freshwater ponding as well. So it's kind of a trick that you can mention a whole bunch of them as part of tropical cyclones. So, and we've got really good examples.
Tropical cyclone Yazzie, 2011.
Yeah, so that's another one you can put in there, and the impacts of that tropical cyclone.
A lot of the stats are slipping my mind at the moment, but there was about the extent of the reef, but it was I think it was up to 1,000 kilometres of the reef was infected in some way. So again, if you really want to show off to your marker, don't just say the reef was highly damaged by Yazzie. Actually have some stats to go with that. It really is defined.
Really important thing in year 12 is, and my best students do this, if we said to them a really large area was affected, they would immediately be like, I need to know how much, I'm going to Google it.
Definitely.
So if you're reading through something and you're like, oh, that's interesting, but it's not real specific, take it on yourself, okay? You've got Google now. Google is amazing. We didn't have that when we were.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we did, but it wasn't quite.
Back in my day, we didn't have an internet.
We had to look it up.
We had to walk to the library in bare feet.
But you can find anything now. Google how much was affected, write it into your booklet, and do this for all of your notes because it's more specific.
PS for our year 12, I did send you an article, that Great Barrier Marine Park Authority article on the reef.
Yeah.
That did have all those stats in there about how much the reef was affected. So our guys, we kind of already got you.
Okay, that's weather and climate. 4 things you need to remember: temperature, rainfall, wind, tropical cyclones. be specific, get your stats, get your examples.
Sounds good to me.
We'll be back, our
All
next
right.
video on geomorphic processes.
Looking forward to that. Geomorphic